If you want to save money on your trading card purchases, we have a promo link over at 50cards.shop. Enter the promo code ATNIGHT to get 5% off your order. Hey everybody, welcome to Nexus, your weekly Vanguard podcast. I'm Atlas.
I'm Matt.
I'm Root Beer.
And I'm drinking eggnog because they are selling it for some reason now.
Yeah.
Christmas comes earlier and earlier every year.
Okay, see, I thought the point of Halloween was that it stops Christmas from encroaching on summer's territory.
It could.
It could. And yet here I am with the nog. So it's just happening. So there's not really anything to talk about Vanguard-wise because not a lot of reveals. There's Fighters rules coming out on November 3rd. So
I can't wait for them to give us JP's ban list with no other changes.
What even was JP's ban list?
They unbanned the cards for Eva and Chronojet, and then banned cards for Willista and Gondiva.
Nice.
Which, fine, I guess. And that's for standard, right? It's not even like for Mill Ista or whatever it's called for premium.
So yeah. Assuming we just get the shittiest ban list humanly imaginable for however many times it's been now. Mm-hmm. We will probably just get the JP list with no other changes and have fun not playing any real games.
Okay. And I don't know. They're revealing Shiranui and Luard stuff, which I don't feel like going over every individual card because we probably will do that later, but at least they did the crest right this time, I think. Less fuckery with the every stride stacks for power.
No, the crests still do that. It's just the strides themselves don't scale power.
Sorry, pulling it up as I'm doing that. Yeah. Right, because they still need a way to not copy Persona Ride, but just kind of fill that space and then. Right. Okay. Yeah. Because I was thinking of Fate Rider doing Fate Rider stuff, and then now that's not really much of a problem. I don't know. Everything looks pretty much on the up and up so far.
I mean, we should probably actually read some of the cards.
Oh my god! Fine. All right. So, okay. So
the discuss anything when you don't know what any of the cards do.
Yeah. I mean. So, ride line stuff aside, right? Where it's okay, if you rode on top of Midoi, the Nubatama starter, draw one, you get the crest. Fucking all of them do, right? Mm-hmm. So the Shiranui crest, same thing. You can stride, can't ride anything other than Shiranui. Your Shiranui becomes a 13k base. Mm-hmm. Let's see. If you have a grade 3 or greater Shiranui, all your front row units get 5k for each face up in G zone. Dominate units don't get the power increase. Something to note there. And then during your turn, all units that you dominate and all of your opponent's units that are placed this turn by your card abilities lose all of their continuous auto abilities and get plus 5k just flat. So that's what I was thinking of, where it doesn't, get out of control. And also they took care of a problem that Dominate had back in G era, which was okay, they still have their abilities, or your opponent can you make your opponent call something from drop and they're I'm going to call this thing and then have this online or do this thing. Now it's just nah, it's skill drain.
This also just resolves any stupid ruling issues, mm-hmm. because now you don't have to think about okay, so when I dominate and the card has an on-attack ability, how am I evaluating how this ability works? No, it just doesn't have an ability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like the way it worked before was like dominated units were technically yours, the dominate players, during the domination, and then once the attack is over, it goes back to the opponent's ownership.
Yeah.
Which, you know, on paper seems fine, but A, people are stupid, and B, there were still like rulings problems within that. So
yeah, it's a lot easier to just say there are no abilities.
It's just multi-attack but kinkier, as somebody from our Discord put it.
Also, an important thing to note is that when the Shiranui crest, at least for the Japanese version, specifically only counts like Oboro and like the third form. I think that one was Zanki. I don't remember its name.
I think so.
Which was also translated differently in English because...
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because it's like Demon Stealth Dragon Shiranui Oboro or something, right? And then Zanki was like Blazing Demonic Stealth Dragon, which is a different wording. Because so we are now in this place where the Japanese version of their names have the same kanji, so it's supposed to work with both Oboro and Zanki, and they're ignoring the original Shiranui because we're all just trying to pretend that the discard mechanic doesn't exist. But the way it's been translated in English currently is that you can't use Zanki because it's not Demon Stealth Dragon, it's Demonic Stealth Dragon.
Please.
I love
Blazing
translations.
Demonic Stealth Dragon Shiranui Zanki versus Demon Stealth Dragon. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's fun. It's not Jim, it's James. All right? Just so fucking stupid. Oh my god.
Yeah. And so I'm curious how they're going to resolve it, because they specifically did not make it work with any Shiranui name because they don't want you riding the original Stealth Dragon Shiranui.
Right. Going back to that crest.
Also, apparently, Stealth Dragon Shiranui is going to be in the set as a retrain.
Really?
Yeah, so according to the preview for next Tuesday, they're going to reveal Stealth Dragon Shiranui and some other, like, stealth cards.
Wild.
Okay. Which, like, for Chrono Jet and Messiah, they were their own TDs, and now...
Oh. No, it's not that. Because, like, Messiah, like, Chrono Jet, you can use it with any form of Chrono Jet, right? Like, Chrono Jet G, Chrono Jet Z, same thing for Messiah. But they are specifically trying to exclude the original Stealth Dragon Shiranui, both because they really do not want you playing the discard mechanic, but also, in this case, it looks like they are retraining it for the set. So... like, they are intentionally locking it to only the dominate Shiranuis. It's just this weird translation error between, like, English and Japanese. Kind of like what happened with Heroes, where in Japanese, the hero name had two different kanjis between, like, Cosmic Heroes and the Galactic Heroes in Standard. But, like, we just had it all as the same word. So they had to errata all of their names to be Galactic B Hero, so you couldn't use it with Cosmic Heroes.
Now, normally, at least in Overdress, right? Because I'm looking at the Messiah crest in English. And, you know, it's saying, you know, convert on grade 3 or greater units without Messiah, not Alter Ego Messiah or whatever the thing is. So, normally this is solved by, in Overdress, them just being like, okay, well, need that D in the bottom left corner. They're specifically making a note of that for premium, right? We're like, okay, you can use the crest in premium if you choose to, but also no regular, you know, Shiranui. But like, well, would people care that much? I mean, I certainly would.
Like I said, they are retraining Shiranui in this set. Like, it seems like they are intentionally carving out the original Stealth Dragon Shiranui because they don't want you to play it. As like your main Vanguard,
which is a shame because I really liked the dominate mechanic and like the whole aesthetic of like taking control of your opponent's stuff and like just.
Oh yeah, but the original one didn't do that. It was a discard focused card.
Yeah, because Nubatama, we've talked about it on the show before, where Nubatama was a mistake way back at the beginning of Vanguard's history. And then they made Murakumo as a way to try and fix that mistake, and then they went back to it later, and they're like, you know what? Fine, we can try and do the hand control thing. And then after that, they just kind of left it alone, and before eventually figuring out the dominate idea, among other things. And it's just been one giant like clusterfuck of a clan, Murakumo included, because them being like, okay, it's the shadow clone thing, then we're going back to the like the stuff with the what's his name, Zanbaku, right?
Yeah.
That stuff, like left and right arrestor, and just like it was
but that
all over the place.
Yeah, but Murakumo like eventually stabilized back into just being a cloning deck.
Yeah, and even then they were just like, all right, we're not giving you any functional G guards, and then we're gonna make Matt struggle for however long, what, like a year and a half.
They were not about to print any functional G guards for that fucking clan.
And then like even now with History Collection, people are like, oh my god, it's happening. Shirayuki, it's going to be good post History Collection, and still
loses to Hanali.
Loses to Hanali. Just you poor bastards.
I mean, they had their time with fucking Nue Dio.
Good point. That is a good point. So
all Murakumo needed to be good was to have a card that probably should never have existed.
Yeah. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure you said this, Matt, but the thing where if you have like a shitty base of support, the only way to make a clan, an archetype, whatever, good is to give it like broken stuff.
Yeah. And they did do that, for better or worse.
Let's see. So Genkai, what was that? The old Glimmer clone?
Nah.
For Dominate back in G era, right?
Let me see. It wasn't.
No.
Or no, it was. It's not a Glimmer clone in the traditional sense. It has the same cost, but instead of being on place, it was like when a Dominated unit attacks, you pay the Glimmer cost of Counterblast, Soul Blast to draw a card, and it gets 2k.
Okay. That's what I was thinking of. If you do, okay, so when rode upon by Shiranui, call it to rear. If you do Soul Charge, choose a unit card from your opponent's drop zone, calls it to rear. So again, with the crests, you just get something, vanilla. And then when something attacks, Counterblast 1, it gets 10k, and then this unit gets boost until end of turn. That's kind of neat.
Yeah. Weird that it gives itself boost for no reason.
It's a shame that that's like you only get the call from drop when ridden upon. It'd be kind of cool if it was just called anywhere. But I guess that's on purpose.
I mean, I guess like the way it works out, you kind of don't need it because like you just need Obero to call the one thing, and then as of right now, there's no way to dominate multiple units at the same time. So you just like dominate it, attack, and then you'll dominate it with a different thing and attack.
True. Let's see. Magu Tembu, the stride act once per turn, counterblast turn, something face up, dominate an opponent's rear guard as standing, and then attack, and then kill it at the end of battle. Cool.
Yeah. It's weird that they decided now suddenly to stop like scaling the first strides. Because, Fate Rider scaled with every face up, and Amnesty Messiah scaled with every card you unlock. So it's weird that now all of a sudden they decided, like, you know what? Actually, we're not going to scale power for this.
What's the it's like a Shiranui, is it Obor? No, Shiranui.
Rene?
No, the one that attacks the opponent's whole board, like takes their Vanguard.
Mukuro.
Mukuro, thank you. That might be something that stacks, right?
I mean, well, it depends on what they're going to do with it, because if it's Mukuro specifically, they might just do the dominating Vanguard again. Because that one was like, yeah, dominate your opponent's Vanguard, battles all of your opponent's drive check, and then you drive check from your own deck. So yeah, it's like if they stick with that idea of it, like attacking your dominating Vanguard and attacking your opponent's entire board, then it's kind of weird that like Maga and Tenbu decided not to like scale. Like I guess they kind of learned their lesson because like if you watch people playing with the other stride decks, they like rarely use the other strides. They always just go into like Fate Rider or Amnesty Messiah because it's usually just stronger.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe they want to actually, like, I don't know if it's just like a balancing thing or is like no, they like kind of learned the lesson and they want you to like use the other strides, so they're just gonna make the first strides worse.
What do you guys think of like Bougeroad or any other company where they'll like learn their lesson and then end up doing like unequivocally worse than their thing they learned their lesson from? And it's like, so then what? Yeah. You just made something like why wouldn't you just play Chronojet or Messiah?
I mean, I will say one thing about Dominate is that it seems like they were also accounting for the fact that you have access to Esper Arida. So, like, by default, you're making 5 attacks, right? And then
yes.
with Esper Arida, which I believe they were pushing as, like, a thing you can use with this deck, you can get, like, 6 up to 7 attacks. So they could have all... It's, like, somewhat justified that this is weaker, where it's like, okay, none of the power gains from, like, your crest will scale to your dominated units, right? So none of the face-up cards, they just kind of get the flat 5k.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, like, the dominate numbers themselves look like they're kind of weak, right? Because, like, 5 plus the 4 from Obero is 9. You know, you can get, like, 15 if you use Genkai, but Genkai also costs a counterblast, and how much counterblast are you able to spend in a given turn? So, you know, your power will range heavily between 5, 15, maybe 19 if there's a reason for you to stack Obero and Genkai together.
Mm-hmm.
As like realistic numbers that you will see in an average game. And it's like, okay, well, only the 19k is really hitting over a trigger. Everything else is like maybe around like 25. They can get up to 28 if they manage to nab a grade 3. But then that also means you have to like have a grade 3 available and be able to dominate it, so it's like inconsistent. Mm-hmm. So it seems like the dominate numbers are going to be a bit smaller, but also you can make more attacks, right? Like 5 by default, 6, 7 with Esper Arida.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of weird that they decided now was the time that they were going to start balancing that, because we already have a bunch of multi-attack decks that have huge numbers, right? Like, Messiah can make 5 attacks and typically gets like 30k columns first stride.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I kind of get it. It is making a lot of attacks, and it seems like they're actually trying to balance it. Like, Leonorn was kind of the same way, where you don't get Persona Ride when you first go into Vivas.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I think is how it should be, right? Like, if you make more attacks, then they should be for like smaller numbers, both to like even out how many cards are needed to guard, but also, you know, a potential weakness in like defensive triggers.
Right. And like at the time of when this comes out, for us, it's like what, February, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It will be the first thing since like this big kind of 3-4 deck format. So is it going to be enough to shake that up, or is it just going to be like a no wait? You know, a fart in the wind of a deck.
Yeah, hard to say.
We'll see. The other thing I noticed about Shiranui is like, as of right now, we don't see a lot of draw power unless you decide to run arcs.
Yeah, a little awkward. And like again, there's like more overdress stuff, and it just turns into why not just run overdress, which is halfway decent.
Yeah. Because I think like right now people are just kind of formulating like playing a bunch of overdress searchers to have access to Esper or Ida.
Hmm. It's funny now. Bushi has to just constantly have that on their radar, and it begs the question of whether they're going to do something about it or just be like, all right, this is something we have to consider.
I mean, really, it just depends on like what the other stealth units does. Like, if you have a way to accrue card advantage, then people will probably just play Esper or Ida for the extra restand.
Yeah.
And then, play the other good utility cards to not die.
If I need them, they're around. Yeah. Why don't we look at Luard? Because Luard also got a little bit of set of leaks. So
they revealed a lot more Luard cards.
Yeah. So starting off with...
feel like there maybe just be a little bit of bias here.
Well, yeah. So Preservation Angel, grade 1. If you're at Ritual 3, gets Intercept and Shield plus 10k, which means Luard's endemic problem.
5.
Sorry, Shield plus 5k for a total of 10k. Apologies. Luard's endemic problem of having to run a lot of grade 1s, which leads to weakened either front row or intercepting, partially remedied by this. Let's see. Ezras comes back, the PG that is unfortunately not as good as the G version. It's like your normal ass PG.
Yeah. Hard to top the original.
I know. So the fact that it's still run in premium to this day is indication enough. Let's see. Solemn Cloud Striding GB2 grade 3.
It's just the plus 10k grade 3 that draws when you discard it.
Thank you. Luminosity Wizard. Go ahead.
Like Ritual 3 on play gets 10k when it's retired from Rearguard Circle during your turn. If you have the Luard Crest, you may Soul Charge and give your Vanguard 5k.
Okay.
I think it's Lumina City.
Lumina City? Like a city of Luminas from Lightsworn.
Okay. It's like Hydro City from Sonic.
There you go. Hydro City.
This is a whole argument, by the way.
Let's see.
We have Drag Driver, which is like auto Ritual 3, on attack, counterblast 1, flip up a card. Search your deck for any card with a ritual ability, call it, and shuffle. Again, weird that they decided now was the time that they were going to stop making all of the cards scale.
Yeah, definitely. This is the way to get you a 4th attack in Luard. It is tied to the ritual ability. And also, for the people who have either been here for the entirety of the time before these two became regulars, or just if you want to go back and go find the GBT09 set review, we ripped into this thing's ass the first time it came out because it was
bad.
Yeah, it was terrible. On Stride, you called, I think it was either a grade 1 or something with Ritual.
It was a grade 1.
Okay, yeah.
You called grade 1s equal to the number of drag drivers face up. And then they got 1k for each grade 1 in your drop zone.
Yes. Now, what they would do in the anime was this would be Kazuma's Stride like almost every time in the early parts of his appearances, because he would like call a 1 from deck and then use Luard's on Stride skill to call 2 things. Like yeah, this is a lot better, A, for the multi-attack, and B, as you so wonderfully pointed out on Twitter, Rootbeer, you can use this to get 5 attacks in premium by calling Dagda, because it can call any card with Ritual.
Yeah. I mean, I assume like Morfessa was going to be a 5th attack anyways. Every other version of Morfessa so far has made an extra attack.
That's true. What was the original? Like on hit, get something, right?
Yeah, on hit, call a grade 1, it gets 5k, I think.
Yeah. And then
no, it was on attack, it gets 5k, and then on hit, you can call a grade 1 from your deck.
Netch. So yeah, this thing is just a straight up improvement from his original iteration.
Yeah.
So the Luard crest, aside from the normal things, during your turn, if you have a grade 3 or greater Luard, all of your front row units get plus
That's
5k.
the same thing.
Okay.
It's the thing that's relevant is at the end of the turn, if you strode without paying the cost, so you use Luard's ability, you can recycle a critical trigger from your drop zone and put it at the bottom of your deck.
Okay. Cool. This next one is kind of innocuous, but I think it does a lot for Luard. Drag Wizard Leofal. Aside from being rode upon, use Soul Blast and drop. That's not what I care about. In drop Ritual 3, when your grade 4 unit with Luard is placed on Van, you can discard a card and call this to rear. Which seems kind of like a nothing ability, but the fact
This
that
is worse Maple.
Wait, Maple? Oh, right, because, yeah.
Maple also works when you stride, right?
Yes.
But yeah, no, Leofal's like not that impressive. Like, I feel like if you were going to run it main deck, you could just play Maple instead.
Yeah. Although you also don't have to search Maple. This is part of your ride line.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So the thing you would actually do is, like, you would use its own ability to Soul Blast itself, so it's there. But, like, if you were considering playing more copies in the deck, the only reason you would is it's, like, searchable by Drag Driver. But I don't think you would be searching this card.
Mm-hmm. But also Maple is just searchable by Luard himself.
No, the grade 2 Maple, not the grade 1.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about the grade 1.
No, the grade 1 doesn't work at all. You need to Persona Ride for that.
Oh, right.
I'm talking about the grade 2 Maple, which is like when your grade 3 or greater Vanguard is placed during your ride phase.
Got it.
And that does count striding because it is a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, and it is still being placed during the ride phase.
Yep, because the stride phase is still part of the ride phase for some reason.
So the thing that might justify Leofal is like the discard can be used as a way to get Ritual, but you need to already be at Ritual 3 for that to even work.
Mm-hmm. A way to keep Ritual, maybe?
Yeah. Like, could be a way of keeping Ritual by, like, discarding a grade 1. And yeah, I think that was the only thing. Oh, and you can have more than one copy of Leofal if for any reason you wanted to call multiples.
Yeah. I mostly just like it because it's there if you need it, like, just outright.
But yeah.
By virtue of being the ride line. I also like how they go, cards to look out for building Luard. Painkiller Angel, Celagon, the cat, and Dindrain as convenience generics to have access to.
Yeah. Dindrain is just easy countercharging. Also, could be a way for you to just recycle units if you're, like, running low. Because she can like put something back and restand. Is that tied to Ezel? I don't think so.
The countercharge is not, but I think the other thing is tied to
Ezel. Yeah, it is. Okay, yeah, the second part is. But the Soul Blast 2 countercharge is, like, generic.
Yeah. But, like, that
so that
plus
could be something.
Painkiller Angel plus, like, just seems like a soul problem. That's assuming you do all of them at once, which I don't recommend.
You probably won't. But yeah.
Probably Painkiller Angel is, like, a better example of generics to run. Cat 2. So yeah, that's what we got so far. Matt, you went to a fighting game tournament this last week.
Sure did.
How'd it go?
I did terribly, but it was fun.
What character did you play?
I played 3 characters, actually, because that's the way this game works. In KOF 15, I played King, Luong, and Hydern. King is like a zoner firewall character, but her normals are kind of short. Luong is like mix-up character where you try to, like, you just, like, stay in your opponent's face, but her defense is kind of bad. So once you kind of get on the back foot, it's difficult. And then Hydern is like another zoner type character, but he does big damage and has like a nice cross up and stuff. So you kind of have to play him a little more aggressively because you can't play like zoner characters and King of Fighters like you can in like other fighting games where you just kind of hang back because the movement's really powerful in the game.
Oh, like is everybody just like really fast and then get in your
Well,
face,
it has hops.
Oh.
So like you have like really quick air movement that's pretty unreactable. So you kind of have to, and you know your opponent has that. So
You have to like adapt yourself.
yeah, you can't just kind of like willy nilly it.
Mm-hmm. What did your record end up being? If you don't mind me asking.
1 and 2.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be like that.
Happens. Did you have a good trip at least?
I did.
It's good. Yeah, I haven't like taken a trip in a while, like as a concept. I know RB's coming down for BCS like you did last year.
I'm certainly planning to. Still need to like book a flight.
Mm-hmm. Should be a lot better sleeping situation wise because we have the futon now as opposed to trying to cram onto the couch.
Right.
Let's see. I don't know. Then it's time for my wedding in January.
Dear Lord.
And then I have to fly my ass back down.
Yeah.
See, Matt, you just need to show up at the wedding with your beard shaved off.
No, well, and his head shaved off so he can scare me again. That's the play. Yeah.
I'll try my best.
Should be a good time.
Like we're all expecting you not to be there, then suddenly this like large shaved man just appears in the doorway.
That'd be funny.
You and Dino from my co-host from Generation Dan, just the best crossover episode. If only. What else has been up otherwise this week?
Not too much. Just back to work.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely. It's
See, Nexus Core recorded a Graham Grace versus Favre video, so now we have to.
I guess we do. I finished Graham Grace. I like it so far. I took it to locals with reasonably good results, and I know we put that tweet out about like the whole thing where I will put a deck profile out, and then I just end up changing stuff. Because part of the reason that ends up happening is I will meet other players of whatever whatever deck, and then just be like, oh, that's not a bad idea, and then you kind of cop their style a little bit. It's like 60% that, and then 40% is getting frustrated with like something happening too much,
right,
breaking, or you get too many copies of like that. It happened to me multiple times where I just ended up with multiple persona rides of whatever thing I'm playing over and over, and it's something where like you're obviously not going to run less copies of your main ride, your main grade 3, but it's still like a frustrating problem,
right?
That like I wish there was a draw 2, put something back, like just something. It's a very first world problem to have.
Just draw better 5-head.
True.
Yeah, exactly. There's that, or like just never drawing your PGs, and like that's just I guess part of the format where you just see less cards.
Right.
So yeah, I guess that I didn't really have much else. I know we're just sort of futzing about.
This episode definitely doesn't have a lot of energy. I mean, the problem with these reveals is that they're incomplete. I can't make a full judgment on either of these decks until we actually know what they do.
Right, exactly. Which means that I think the best thing to do is to try and catalog. Oh wait, we're releasing this episode. Try and catalog our feelings without all the information versus when we do have all the information.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So I guess just make a note of whatever this ends up being, and when we have all the spiel, then we can have a more complete analysis.
I have a dumb question to ask Root Beer that's completely unrelated.
Sure.
Root Beer, have you played Backpack Battles?
I have not.
Okay.
That's
all I wanted to ask.
Battles?
Okay, so imagine for a second that, how to say, basically it's a game where it's like a inventory management game where you fight it. Have you ever played Super Auto Pets, Alice?
Super Auto what?
Super Auto Pets.
No.
Basically, you buy animals that are just like fucking emojis, and they have like abilities, and you build a team, and you fight people, and you can either win 10 times or lose 5 times, and once that, your run's over.
Okay.
The point
Sounds like
is
a combo between like Neopets and Pokemon, a little bit.
Yeah, kinda.
Okay.
Basically, you do that, and then what am I saying here? Sorry.
You do realize you're talking to the king of brain fog over here. Please. Yeah.
So it's like that, except it's an inventory management game, and you have a bunch of items that do shit.
Okay.
It's pretty fucking funny.
I'm guessing like cartoony, right?
Yeah, I guess you'd call it cartoony. But it's pretty amusing. I think it's pretty good.
Okay. Where do you play it?
It's on Steam. At least that's what I'm playing. I think it's also a browser game or something.
Okay.
I could be wrong about that, but it's something of the sort.
Nice. I mean, like my friend Dan, who Root Beer, you'll get to meet him at the wedding. You could if you were coming. He's going to a regional for Pokemon, so I've been like his punching bag on Showdown these past few weeks. Yeah. He's like, all right, I gotta try this out for VGC, and like all I know about VGC is watching PokeTubers, so I've just been copying their teams and like trying to do better. So he like knows what he'll probably be up against, and I don't know. It's not the worst thing in the world, but
just make a weird ass team that he'll never expect.
Yeah, Cramorant still swap with someone. Guess we'll have to see. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this little half a dive into the shallow end for Shiranui and Luard. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks Darren, Cole, Josh, Jeremy, GR, Ali, $10 patrons. If you want to be mentioned at the end of the episode and get your stuff a day early, patreon.com/Nexus at night, $10 a month. Or if you just want a bonus show every Monday with Root Beer and I talking about all the stuff we don't get to talk about on this show, that's $5 a month, a cup of coffee. Or if you want to just join the Discord and hang out with us, $1. It's a single $1. Dang indeed. You can also follow us at Nexus at Night on Twitter, Instagram, and all those other stupid places. How about the rest of us?
You can find me on Twitter at Wiggums, 2Gs, 2Zs.
You can find me at Plasma Eclipse.
Find me at Atlas Novak, Twitter, Instagram, and all the TikTok and all the other places. Or you can check out my other podcast, Generation Dan, at Generation Dan, wherever you find your podcast and all those other places. So thanks everybody for listening. And until next time, I was Atlas.
I'm Matt.
I'm Root Beer.
And have a good night, everybody.